Hey guys, it's Joe Nathan here with a Cup review from the race in New Hampshire. So real quick, here are the points on the screen. You see Matt Kenseth takes over the lead, but it doesn't matter because him and Denny Hamlin both have a win. Take a look through the rest of the order. You got Dale Earnhardt Jr. 1 point ahead of the cutoff, and Kyle Busch 1 point below the cutoff. So watch out for those two in the next race, as they will be fighting to make the chase. Of course, they'll be probably racing for points compared to what Kevin Harvick will be forced to do, which is race for the win. But regardless, those two were very close to elimination. Dale Earnhardt Jr. ran out of fuel at the end of the race today, and Kyle Busch was involved in a wreck, so both drivers did not get the results that they needed. They did not score a good amount of points. And with that in mind, these guys are going to have to have a points race for sure. And it's a lot of pressure to put on one race, especially at a place like Dover. So anyways, let's move on to the Brad Keselowski restart issue. So from what I saw, it looked like Brad Keselowski might have jumped the start, of course. And, that's a problem because Brad did indeed break a rule by jumping the restart, but he gave the advantage back, and NASCAR gave him a penalty anyways. And that's kind of sad because I feel like NASCAR was trying to make a statement there, saying you can't break these rules anymore. We're not putting up with it any longer. We're going to finally enforce the rules that we haven't enforced at all in the last couple weeks. And it wasn't implemented well. I don't think Brad deserved the penalty, and it really ruined his race. And of course, he wasn't happy afterwards. So in the post-race interview, when he said he had a chance to comment, he said that NASCAR is an entertainment sport, not a fair sport, which is the direction NASCAR's been going in. I would say that is probably true. It's accurate. And yeah, like I said, it's ridiculous. He didn't deserve the penalty, but whatever. I mean, I think he made an honest mistake. He gave the time back. He slowed down. And apparently you're not allowed to make mistakes on a restart. So that's just the way it goes, I guess. But let's go to talk about other mistakes. Kevin Harvick, him and his team have made two very, very costly mistakes. This guy, Kevin Harvick, has done a fantastic job. Him and his team have been amazing, especially early on in the season. And they've continued to put in consistent finishes. And now when it comes down to the chase, they haven't been able to finish at all. Coming into Chicagoland, they were looking pretty good, and they haven't won since March, though, so it's been a long time since they've won, but they've still been consistent and finished second quite a few times as of late. So going into Chicagoland, he needs a good finish, at least, but with that incident with Jimmy Johnson, I think it was a misunderstanding, and I think Jimmy, he was pushed underneath the track on the apron, and he thought, well, I didn't mean to do that, so surely Kevin Harvick is going to let me back up the track. Kevin Harvick probably thought Jimmy was being over-aggressive and wasn't going to let him back on the track. They made contact, and Kevin Harvick was left with a gigantic tire rub, and I have no idea why they didn't call him into pit. I guess it was because the spotter was saying, no, it's getting better. Clearly, I didn't think it was. I would have brought him in a long time. And then once the tire cut down, I was pretty disappointed in the team. I thought it was a pretty straightforward call. Bring him in. It was really early on in the race, and you can't afford to have a 42nd place finish that early in the chase, and that's what they ended up with. So coming into New Hampshire, they wanted to put themselves in a position to be a little more flexible at Dover instead of being forced to win. Coming down with 2.5 to go, Kevin Harvick ran out of fuel. I don't know what happened, whether it was Kevin Harvick being too aggressive or he thought he had more fuel than he actually had. But I felt like Kevin Harvick, he should have been able to make that fuel, should have been able to stretch the fuel long enough, because Greg Biffle, who finished 5th, he stretched the fuel, and he made it work, and he finished 5th. Greg Biffle did finish 5th, so it was a good finish for him. So even though, Greg had to stretch fuel, he had a good finish out of it, and that's what Kevin Harvick needed, was a good finish. He didn't desperately need a win, not yet anyways. And now at Dover he does. I think it might have been a simple driver error, it might have been a lack of communication. The guys on NBC were saying that they weren't really talking about fuel as much as they probably should have been. So that could have been, part of it. Kevin Harvick may not have known he needed to save that much fuel. So when it comes down to it, Kevin Harvick, he needs to win at Dover, and that's going to be tough with Joe Gibbs Racing being as dominant as they have been. I just don't think there's anyone to really challenge them when it comes to Homestead. I wouldn't be surprised if all 4 Joe Gibbs Racing drivers are in it still at Homestead. Of course, Kyle Busch is almost on the cutoff. He might be eliminated at Dover if he doesn't have any luck, but I just don't see it happening. I think Kyle Busch will continue on. I think all 4 Joe Gibbs drivers, they have a really good shot at the championship, and I would be honestly very shocked to see them not win it. That's just how dominant they've been the entire season. 13 wins as a team collectively, and they've been ramping up the intensity heading into the chase, and now that they've won both chase races, it's looking pretty good for them. But of course, you can't count out Kevin Harvick. You might be able to count out Hendrick Motorsports for Dover, but looking towards the end of the chase, they might be able to pick it back up and rebound from their struggles. Hendrick Motorsports has really dropped the ball as of late, but you never know. They could come back stronger than ever. You know, watch for Jimmy Johnson and maybe even Dale Earnhardt Jr. A lot of people have been saying he might have a chance to win this championship. We'll see as that goes into Dover. Hopefully Kyle Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and maybe even Kevin Harvick all make it into the second round. So that's it for this Cup review. Come back for more later after Dover, and subscribe if you like this one. So that's it.